Welcome to the Black A History Channel. Please share this video and subscribe to this channel for more captivating content. Read a book, read a mother effing book. Reading a book isn't just great for your mental health and cognition. Reading books can take you into another world using just the words of the author and your own imagination. As it becomes winter here in Canada and many other places in the world, sometimes you just gotta curl up with a good book. So why not support gay authors and listen to the stories written by authors who want to tell our stories? Since it's still spooky season, here's a list of 5 black gay sci-fi and fantasy authors you should check out. Marlon James. Marlon James is a critically acclaimed Jamaican author who came to worldwide prominence in 2014 when he wrote the chilling fictional novel, A Brief History of 7 Killings. This novel delved into a world between fiction and historical events in 1970s Jamaica following the assassination attempt of Bob Marley. Marlon James kicked off his incredible career as an author with his first fictional novel, John Crow's Devil, in 2005. John Crow's Devil details the spiritual battle that takes place in a fictional town in 1950s Jamaica, where 2 very different Christian preachers fight for their congregation's loyalty and ultimately the entire town's respect. Black Leopard Red Wolf, released in 2019, is an overt fantasy adventure full of magical creatures, treacherous journeys, and epic battles. The tale pulls from ancient African culture and mythologies, where the tale's narrator, Tracker, is trying to earn his manhood despite recently coming to terms with revealed dark family secrets. Tracker leaves his convoluted family dynamics behind to find Kava, an older independent bachelor who takes him on a journey of never-ending mysteries and unbelievable experiences. I also really love that both of these characters are queer as well. James would follow up the highly popular novel with an equally popular sequel, Moon Witch, Spider King, released in 2022. Aad Saint. I'm so shocked that after researching this topic, I found yet another iconic black gay historical figure from the Caribbean who advocated for gay rights as well as left behind important queer literary works. Aad Saint, born Yves-François Lubin, was a Haitian-born American immigrant who became very involved in LGBTQ rights movements and art spaces in New York during the 1970s and 80s, collaborating with other black gay artists like X Hemphill and Marlon Riggs. He won a Lambda Literary Award and was nominated for several other literary awards for his work in poetry for many years. Saint became one of the first black American public figures to openly discuss living with HIV towards the beginning of the pandemic in the 1980s. His posthumous anthology, Spells of a Voodoo Doll, which was released in 1996, is a collection of his poems, autobiographical stories, stage plays, and fictional stories that give his unique spiritual spin on his life as a black queer man who celebrated his history as a Haitian immigrant and the black power in Haiti's history. Samuel R. Delany. Samuel R. Delany is a critically acclaimed science fiction author who became one of the first science fiction authors to blend themes of race and queer sexualities in science fiction literature. Delany was considered ahead of his time, creating sex-positive gay and trans alien worlds in his stories, which has finally begun to catch on in mainstream TV, movies, and pop culture. In his 1976 novel Triton, Delany details a fictional world where humans can't live on Earth, Mars, or the fictional planet Triton, as well as use technology to change aspects of themselves such as their gender, sexual orientation, or certain personal likes and dislikes. In 1994, Samuel Delany would stir up controversy again by publishing his book Hog, which followed the sexual transgressions of a violent criminal in his dark, twisted, homoerotic, and violent fantasies. Delany was able to seamlessly mesh science fiction with queer topics and characters, and was known to address the topic of HIV and AIDS in the stories as well. Even some of his less sexual novels that featured any sort of gay intimacy were barred from being sold at many bookstores throughout the 1980s. Ryan Douglas. Another book that is on my list to read is the 2021 fantasy novel The Taking of Jake Livingston. Written by queer Atlanta author Ryan Douglas, this teen and young adult novel is definitely a story many young black gay men, and we young black gay men at heart, can appreciate. And considering this is his first novel and it became a New York Times bestseller, obviously means he did a great job. The book's synopsis reads, Jake Livingston is one of the only black kids at St. Clair Prep, one of the others being his infinitely more popular older brother. It's hard enough fitting in, but to make matters worse and definitely more complicated, Jake can see the dead. In fact, he sees the dead around him all the time. Most are harmless, stuck in their death loops as they relive their deaths over and over again. They don't interact often with people. But then Jake meets Sawyer, a troubled teen who shot and killed 6 kids at a local high school last year before taking his own life. Now a powerful, vengeful ghost, he plans for his afterlife, plans that include Jake. Suddenly, everything Jake knows about ghosts and the rules to life itself go out the window as Sawyer begins haunting him and bodies turn up in his neighborhood. High school soon becomes a survival game, one Jake is not sure he's going to win. Derek Scott. Hex is the 2005 fantasy novel written by Black gay author and educator Derek Scott. And Scott isn't writing fantasy novels that focus on the stories of gay, Black, and Caribbean Americans. He is also working as an assistant professor of African American Studies at the University of California, Berkeley. This was the first fantasy novel I ever read that starred and featured gay and Caribbean American characters in fictional storylines, fantasy and horror being some of my favorite subgenres in books, film, and TV. Hex opens in Miami in the near future, where celebrations roil the city after the announcement of Castro's death. Amid the chaos and debauchery, two visiting graduate students, Langston and Azariel, search for a friend who suddenly goes missing, Damien, a charismatic seducer who has drawn the two of them into his orbit in the past. Frustrated in their initial attempts to trace Damien's whereabouts, the two seek help from Langston's aunt, a renowned psychic whose cryptic warnings and unexpected hunches guide them on a quest that takes them to New Haven and New York City and entangles them into the investigation of Damien's family history, and draws the hostile attention of powerful and apparently supernatural forces.